these days, and like everyone wants to talk to you. That's fine. And yeah, this April, you're presenting your new album. And do you worry somehow how people gonna take it and accept it? Do you read comments and to your videos? Does it really matter to you? And what does it mean to you to read what people say?
Well, I am the one who is, of course, in charge of all my pages, my homepage, my Facebook page, and everything. And I do read everything that people write, and it's very important for me to know what people are saying. But I have to say that the feedback has been only positive, 100% positive. So that's amazing. But I'm not afraid of reading anything that would be different, maybe not so positive. I'm not afraid of that because everything I do is authentic. Everything comes from the heart. So there is nothing I would want to change, even if somebody would say, "Oh, that's a bullshit album. She's a bullshit artist or anything." Luckily, said that. But well, okay, everybody has their own opinion, so that's all right. But it's sad when people out there are attacking others. Of course, that's very sad. If it's not constructive criticism, that's really bad. But I've experienced that just very few times in my life. Somebody said I was fat, so but that's 30 years ago, and I know I was not, and I am not, so I don't mind. Maybe this person had a bad day. So, but I'm extremely lucky. I have such open-minded, wonderful fans and friends and followers out there. I'm extremely blessed with my community. So far, except from that time when that was a man actually, who said that I was fat, but apart from that, it's all fine.
You never were fat. You're like doing sports for all your life, it seems to me, right?
No, like, of course, when you're 45, or I'm 47 now, you might look different from when you are 27 or 17. When you are pregnant, you have a different body. So I think it's a part of the body's evolution to sometimes have more weight and sometimes have less weight. So yes, I think that now, being in the middle of my life, my body is not the same as when I was 17 or 27, and you have to bring in acceptance towards this. I think that's something we really need to work on, especially we women. We need to work on acceptance towards our own body. As long as the body is healthy, as long as the weight is not a threatening problem to your health, then everything is fine. And to me, I've always been blessed with a very strong and athletic body, and I still do a lot of sports, but I'm not running around like I used to do. 5 years ago, I was still running every day through the forest, uphill, downhill. But that's not my style anymore. That's not my frequency anymore. I don't run that often. I'm more into yoga and Tai Chi and swimming and going for a walk with my dog. That's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. So bring an acceptance towards yourself. I think that's self-love is something we women have to work on, especially when we are in the middle of our lives.
Yeah. And are there any people who say like, "Oh well, she was doing nice metal thing like in the past, and now she's singing some pop love songs," and people get just disappointed. But are there still such people?
I have to say that I don't know how many albums I've released, 15, 17, 20. I don't really know how many with all the EPs and all the special editions, but I'm extremely lucky because I think I've released everything that is possible from ballads, folk, rock, symphonic, metal, synthesizer based music. I've done everything, dance, everything. So I feel kind of free. Within my artistic world, there are no boundaries. I have to say I'm extremely lucky. I have a very open-minded audience, so I'm not scared. I'm very happy to be blessed with this kind of mindset from my parents.
And as far as I can judge from the songs that have already been released, it's mostly about love.
Yeah, it's about love, but it's also about self-love. Most of the songs, I would say maybe in all of the songs, there is self-love. And as we already talked about, that's something we have to work on, everybody. And I don't mean it in an egoistic way. I mean that you really need to take care of your inner self, of your soul. Have a look at the depth of yourself, and have a look at your childhood. Have a look at patterns, behavior patterns that you have, and see if there's something you might want to dissolve, something you want to change. Maybe there's a trauma, and that is self-love. That's what I mean. And it's something that should be done in order to love somebody else in a healthy way, in a free way. Because to me, real love, like a soul partnership and a really, really deep friendship, that is based on freedom. Freedom is love, and love is freedom. So, but that begins with you working inwards, working on yourself.
Yeah. And what do you think is the greatest love song that has ever been written by anyone?
Which one? I'm sorry?
Greatest love song just in any kind of music that has ever been written.
For me, you mean?
Yeah, but by written by anyone. Maybe you or...
The greatest love song. Well, I have to say, to me, Changes of Black Sabbath is just some piece of music that always has played an important role in my life. And I grew up with Black Sabbath even, and when I heard Changes when I was a kid, I thought of this song as being a masterpiece already back then. When it comes to myself, I have to say that Gravity is probably my most important song up to date, because it's really about this soul partnership, this soul relationship. When you meet your soul partner, how that feels like, how you attract each other, and how you kind of you feel that there is just this magic gravity between you two. It feels like it was meant to be. It feels like a lifelong partnership, even going outside of your own birth and death. It feels like forever. It feels like eternity, and that's such a beautiful feeling I've been blessed with my now husband Michael. And Gravity is actually a song I wrote for us and for him, and he didn't know it. And when we went to the studio, I recorded my vocals, and I think it got very deep into the heart of my husband. So Yes, Gravity is a song I feel like it was not really Tommy who composed it. It was not me who made the melody lines and the words. It feels like there is the universe behind this. Of course, it's Tommy, the composer. Of course, it's me, and it's my words. But it feels like something beautiful has been manifested through us, and it's an amazing feeling for me as an artist. Always really trying to open my heart and to be authentic. This is a very special piece. Even when I perform it live, it sometimes feels like it's something that is greater than yes, it looks like.
Yeah, and as far as I remember, you've been a member of the band Coldbound, and then you came to Midnight Soul, and it didn't work for both, I guess. And does it mean that you feel like better while working solo than joining other bands, or was there something else happening?
Well, with Midnight Soul, I'm still, of course, in Midnight Soul. It's just that Midnight Soul is having a break. People get married, people get children. So whenever Midnight Soul wants to activate themselves, I'm ready, no problem. But with Coldbound, that was something that it had a sudden end, and there is nothing bad to say about it. It was just that the chemistry between us didn't work anymore, and I cannot work under pressure. I can't work under pressure when I have so many things to take care of in my private life, in my daily life. Take care of my family. So I had to leave it, and as soon as I felt ready for releasing a solo album, my mind was free, and I felt like my personal situation had calmed down. I had work on my traumas. I had worked on the past. I had solved a lot of things. That is really when things started to happen, and that was absolutely amazing. It was just like, okay, one song and the next song and the third song, and that was a really amazing and positive experience. So I've worked with so many people. There's been so many corporations and projects, and I love it. It's very inspiring. I had a lot of guest vocal requests during that time when I considered stopping to sing myself, and that kept me alive. So I'm very happy that people were kind of really giving their best to make me cooperate, and that is something that I'm really grateful for. I love cooperation. So whenever Midnight Soul is back, I'm back with Midnight Soul. But I think the guys need a family break.
Yeah, and once you were even nominated for Grammy for Amphetamine of Cradle of Filth, and maybe they also wanted you to become a permanent member of Cradle of Filth.
Well, I was so busy with both Theatre of Tragedy and Leave Size at that time, and my solo project. I think at that time I had all three of them, and it would have been impossible for me to join Cradle of Filth. But I remember talking to Danny after I had recorded my vocals for Amphetamine, and he said it's just a perfect match, and I have to agree, because that is one of the best cooperations I've ever done, and being nominated for the Grammy was a great thing too. And Lemmy got it, but he deserved it, so we were really close. It was a blissful moment in my career. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And several years ago, there were talks about having Theatre of Tragedy tour again, and it didn't happen for some reason. And If you were offered just a lot of money to play some festival or whatever, would you agree to do it again?
Well, I would agree to do it even if there wasn't a lot of money. I would be really happy to go on stage with the guys again. I would be really happy, but we would need everybody, and there is at least one person missing, and that means that we wouldn't get the old setup, the lineup. I mean, the lineup of the band, and it doesn't make sense then. So for me, I would love to do it, but we need to have the original members on stage.
So it didn't happen for that reason?
Yeah, just one, at least one person is not available or does not wish to be back on stage with Theatre of Tragedy. So that's the reason.
Again, and do you miss those times? Anyhow, Theatre of Tragedy and doing metal and headbanging and all this stuff. Like when everyone was young and metal scene was so young and everything was going on.
Yeah, it was. Those were amazing times. I mean, it was incredible to be back on tour in 2015 with Raymond next to me. That was amazing. I loved that moment. I loved those shows, and yeah, there is something magic about Theatre of Tragedy, and we came out of nowhere back then, and we actually didn't know what was happening around us, being from cold and rainy, dark Stavanger at the west coast of Norway, and being students of Anglistics and loving Shakespeare, and we were so creative, and we were just really creative, and we didn't fear anything. We just wanted to create something unique and something authentic, and then Theatre of Tragedy happened, and back then people were, critical towards having an angelic voice in a doom metal band. But that soon changed, and I have to say that wherever we were, following the shows following the first, I would say, 1 or 2 albums, we got such an amazing response, and it didn't last long until people said, well, it looks like that's something cool, so let's call it gothic metal, gothic rock with angelic voices. And now you have many bands following in our footsteps, and now it's like I'm feeling old in this genre, but I love it, and it's great to be back with River of Diamonds, because it has a lot of the vibes and influences of Aegis, Tommy Olsson's composition. He composed the whole album, and River of Diamonds is kind of we're waking up the spirit of Aegis.
Yeah, and what's your favorite album of Theatre?
It's Aegis.
Aegis, because it's Tommy, right?
It's Tommy. Yeah, it's Tommy.
Yeah, and you are still singing some songs on your solo while you're doing concerts. You are still singing some old songs, so I guess not too far from you.
I do. We have Siren or Venus, Distance There Is, sometimes a Hamlet for a Slothful Vassal. I do. We do play Image. Of course, we play Image because that's just my voice in there, and I still do play these songs, yeah. And I sometimes play 1 or 2 Liv Kristine songs where I'm originally the only singer in the composition, and solo songs, for my whole career. Of course, now for the upcoming shows, there will be more compositions played live from the latest from River of Diamonds. I'm looking forward that, playing the new songs live. So the next show is coming up in Switzerland on the 21st of April, in a couple of weeks in in Langenthal in Switzerland. So it's a little bit far away, so it's far for you to travel, but I would have loved to see you.
Yeah, but maybe you came to USA one day.
Yes,
Man.
that's a plan. That's a really good plan. I never played live in the US solo.
Yeah. Is your main job right now is doing vocal lessons or is doing something else live?
Well, I did that already. 15 years ago, actually, I started teaching a little bit on the side, working with children with special needs. So when we weren't touring, I was teaching and working, with kids at primary school with special needs, which is a very, very good. It's a very good experience because when my world crashed in 2016, I needed to find a new financial source. So I got back to that, and I got myself a 9-to-5 job as a teacher in primary schools, working with children with special needs. And that's what I'm doing today. I have a 100% job, a 7 to 4 job. I'm working at a Swiss primary school, working with children. So it's a blessing for me because that's something which is also an inner call. I didn't study this, neither did I study music. So I'm doing 2 things I didn't study, and that's teaching and singing. And the master classes and the Karmasonic vocal coaching, and sometimes I would say it's soul coaching. That is something that comes up. So I'm really, really busy, but I wouldn't give up anything. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed with teaching and singing, and it's something that comes from inside. So especially during COVID times, I was fully active being a teacher in so many ways. I love it. I love it, and I would never give it up. Neither singing nor teaching. It's something that's part of me.
Yeah, you should be a very patient person because it's hard to deal with children.
Yeah. It's. I remember when I was 10, 12, 13 years old, I used to gather the friends of my sister and my sister, of course. My sister is 6.5 years younger, and I used to play school at home. So my sister learned to read when she was 5, 4 or 5, and she was extremely quick with gather competence in reading, writing, and mathematics. But she had to play school with me, and I was a teacher, and I was a strict teacher. So back then already started showing itself, manifesting itself. And I just love children. I love children above anything else on this planet. Children and animals, and of course, it's something that you need to love. If not, you shouldn't be in this profession.
Yeah, sure. It seems you have so many things to give others in your music and your teaching, and it's really nice to hear that you're totally fine with yourself and with everything you're doing these days. Just wish you to see you on stage someday, and wish you everything nice with this album. And looking forward to hearing it.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. It was a pleasure and honor to see you again after all these years. And all the best, and joy and happiness and bliss and freedom and anything that that you would dream of and wish for. So all the best for you.
Thank you. Nice to see you. And I would say, like 20 years ago, you were a different person, like everyone was.
Yes, I guess so. We were both different persons, but um, I I have to say that this is also something which makes me feel blessed when I see people like you again after 20 years, and uh, it's something that gives warmth to my heart, just to see that people are still around and people are still interested in music and in my music, in my art, and without you I wouldn't be here. So I thank you for doing this interview, and I wish you all the best,
Thank
and hope
you.
to see you again soon.
Yeah. Hopefully, it won't take another 20 years.
Oh no, it's not gonna last 20 years. Now I have your contacts and you have mine, so please let's stay in touch. Let's
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Anastasia. Please be safe and hope to see you again soon.
Yeah. Thank
Bye
you. Bye.
bye. Bye.
Do you want to hear some more? On whom